Wednesday, December 8th of the 2021 calendar year. The 2021 NFL season continues on as we look ahead to Week 14 of the 2021 NFL season. How many times can I say 2021 in this episode of Time to Football? Glad you guys are joining us on this beautiful Wednesday, December 8th, 2021. My name is Hassan Khan, the host of this channel. You guys are leaving your questions and your comments and everything, saying your blessings this morning in the chat below. If you guys are tuning in on YouTube, if you guys are tuning in on the podcast on iTunes, hey, appreciate you guys listening to us on the go. Glad you guys are joining us in whichever platform it might be. iTunes. We come out with clips on TikTok, Twitter. We're not on Spotify. This podcast is not on Spotify. Maybe we should. Maybe we should consider it. I saw a TikTok the other day where it was like Spotify Wrapped. You guys know about this, where it's like it recaps all your music that you listen to. No one is like, bro, I'm listening to your Spotify Wrapped. It's so great. Anyways, that TikTok made fun of, it's like, bro, I checked out your Spotify Wrapped. Oh my gosh. Drake, Jack Harlow, Kendrick Lamar. Like, dude, amazing. I checked it out myself. No one cares. Absolutely no one cares. But what you do guys care about is some football that we have planned for the Week 14 of the 2021. That's probably the seventh time I've said it, season. And we're going to get right into it. We're going to be talking about power rankings like we do every single Wednesday. Who moved up, who moved down. We got some teams that are big jumps up, but then also big jumps down as well. We're going to talk about those two teams. As well as I wanted to dedicate a segment talking about the future of Time to Football as well. I'll get right into that later on in the show. But first, we start every show with NFL news and notes that's going around the league. Now, prior to the NFL news and notes that I'm going to be giving you guys, what I've been doing is a question of the day. I haven't been consistent with it, but whenever I think of one, I'm like, all right, let me go ahead and ask you guys this question. So let me go ahead and ask you guys this question right over here. Will the Lions win any more games in 2021? And looking at the schedule ahead that they have the Denver Broncos, Arizona Cardinals, Atlanta Falcons, Seattle Seahawks, and the Green Bay Packers left to play. So that's the question of the day. Legitimately, will the Lions win any more games? If you saw the thumbnail for this YouTube video, I was just coming up with the thumbnail cover for it. And I thought, oh, okay, well, let's commemorate Dan Quinn, or not Dan Quinn. I mean, as a Falcons fan, let's not commemorate him. But let's commemorate Dan Campbell and the Jared Goff-led Detroit Lions for picking up their victory against the Minnesota Vikings the other day. So, if you guys feel like that the Lions are due for maybe another victory, maybe against the Denver Broncos this week, that could be a possibility. My hair is looking janky right now. But the Arizona Cardinals as well, Atlanta Falcons, I mean, these are probably some teams that they could beat. Maybe not the Cardinals, but the Falcons for sure. Let us know your thoughts in your comments down below. Like, do you legitimately think that the Lions could pick up another victory? We'll get into that later on as we read your comments. Now, NFL news and notes. You guys can see what we have planned for today's episode of Time to Football. We've got NFL news. Then we've got power rankings that we're going to be talking about. Going to be taking about a few minutes talking about the future of Time to Football. I want to get into that real quick. And then viewer questions. So for you guys that are leaving your questions early on in the chat, just know that, hey, if you want to click out of this live chat and then come back in like 20 minutes or so, that's when we're going to be getting into viewer questions. So keep that in mind. But NFL news and notes. Biggest news coming out of Seattle is that Jamal Adams has a torn labrum. He's going to be out for the remainder of the season. That is a big blow to the Seattle Seahawks secondary. You may not believe it, but the Seahawks defense has actually been looking not that bad. I think there's only 2 or 3 games this season where they allowed more than 23 points to an opponent. And one of those games was only 26 points. So the Seahawks defense is actually looking pretty freaking good. And now with Jamal Adams out, this is going to be a huge blow to the secondary. They already gave up some big plays this season in the secondary, and now you can just expect them to give up some bigger plays. So Jamal Adams out for the season is a big blow for the Seahawks in their little tiny hopes that they had of making the playoffs. Kenny Stills has been released by the New Orleans Saints. He's been waived after a crucial drop that he had last week against the Dallas Cowboys, and the Saints were just like, all right, we're going to go ahead and release him, which is interesting to think because Deontay Harris, NFL News as well, he's suspended for 3 games. Was it 3 games, 2 games, or 4 games? Like one of those options for violating the substance abuse policy. So Deontay Harris is out, which was going to be their top receiver, has been looking like their top receiver as of late. Now you got to rely on just Marquez Callaway. Who else is in there? Ted Ginn. Like, it's looking kind of rough in that wide receiver core that's already depleted without Michael Thomas. And even with Michael Thomas there, they were talking about we need a true number 2 wide receiver. Haven't had one for a couple years. So Kenny Stills getting released. It's not looking good for the Saints wide receiver core. Christian Darrisaw, ankle injury. Very talented rookie offensive tackle. He did not practice this past Tuesday. So for the game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, this will be a big blow if he's not able to return. Speaking on that game as well, looking at the other side, Chase Claypool, toe injury, did not practice, was an estimated non-participant on Monday. On Tuesday, he did practice in full. So Chase Claypool's status is looking good. Patrick Peterson has been activated off the COVID-19 list. He is expected to play this Thursday. And then Adam Thielen, ankle injury, high ankle sprain, like we said, did not practice on Tuesday. This is no surprise to anyone. It was a short week, short turnaround. We don't think Adam Thielen is going to play. However, Dalvin Cook was a limited participant through the team's walkthrough on Tuesday. Now, don't get your hopes up. Dalvin Cook more than likely will not play. It's still a short turnaround, still dealing with an injury. And like they said, he's going to be out for a couple games. That's what they expected. That's what they went ahead and said. You can expect Alexander Mattison to be the starting quarterback or starting running back for the next couple of games. Justin Fields, his status is unknown for this Sunday. Now, it's not that he's not healthy. It's not that he's not fully healthy. So, Justin Fields still a little bit banged up, limited participant last week. He's going to be a limited participant this week. Now, they're planning on Justin Fields being the starting quarterback if he can come out and he can play Sunday Night Football against the Green Bay Packers. However, they are also keeping in mind that what do we have left to play for? Maybe we could make the playoffs technically, but we have to really think about the future as well. Maybe Andy Dalton could be coming in, and who has not been looking terrible, and really step in for the Chicago Bears against the Green Bay Packers. So Justin Fields, his status, monitor his status, is going to come down to, is he good? Are we going to be taking any risks or not with Justin Fields if he were to play this Sunday? Deebo Samuel is hopeful to return in Week 14 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Suffered a groin injury just a couple weeks ago against the Minnesota Vikings, was taken out of the game. He actually took himself out of the game before he realized, hey, this could be a very, very bad injury, so I'm going to go ahead and just take myself out before it gets any worse. So kudos to Deebo Samuel for doing that. And for the 49ers, this could be a big uptick for the 49ers offense if he were to come back against the Bengals. However, I will say this. Whenever they suffer some sort of soft tissue, non-contact kind of injury, they like to be on their own home field, their own turf that they can trust before they come back from an injury, which was kind of interesting. And I go back to this, if you've been watching the show for weeks, to when David Montgomery came back before their bye week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. It wasn't in Soldier Field. Is it still called Soldier Field, or did they rename it? I feel like they renamed it. I don't know. But still not in the Chicago Stadium. It was at Heinz Field. Is it still called Heinz Field? I can't keep up with my names. Caesars Superdome is a new one that I didn't think that. I hate that name. But anyways, played on Pittsburgh's turf. And people were like, well, why are you bringing him back, one, before the bye week, two, not even on your own home field? Don't you trust your own grass and your own field to bring him back then? Same thing with Deebo Samuel. Do you not trust, why would you want to risk further injury by playing on the field of the Cincinnati Bengals? Why not just give him a rest for one more week, make sure he's fully healthy, and then have him go full on out in Week 15? Well, it could come down to, the Bengals are competing for a playoff spot as well. They're going to be competitive. The 49ers, we ourselves are competing for a playoff spot, even though the Bengals are in a different conference. They're going to be bringing it out because they want to win this game. They want to make the playoffs. So maybe we got to bring everybody out as well. So it's going to come down to, is it worth playing Deebo Samuel if we're trying to make the NFL playoffs? But they're hopeful that he can return in Week 14. David Njoku has been placed on the COVID-19 list. He is more than likely going to be inactive for this game against the Baltimore Ravens. Aaron Rodgers says that his toe injury is improving every single day, and it really improved after his bye week. So that was very important. I mean, we didn't expect him to miss any time. He played through the injury last week. We expect him to keep on playing moving forward. And then finally, this is interesting news. In a press conference, James Robinson was asked on if he thought, his own personal opinion, if he was benched in that game against the LA Rams. He said, quote, "I would say so. Listen, there's Ohio State ties with Carlos Hyde and Urban Meyer. He's not afraid to put him in. He's not. James Robinson, fumbling issues last couple of games. What could this mean for James Robinson in his future?" But that is your NFL news and notes for today, Wednesday, December 8th, 2021. I wanted to show you this video. I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde. If you already know what I'm talking about, it's interesting. After the game against the New England Patriots, they were asked a question, which I always tell myself, as a person of the media, technically, football media, I'm not going to bother anyone asking questions. So this guy, though, he tried to milk an answer out of someone, and I'm just going to go ahead and play it. But pretty much what he said is, if you can't hear this right now, he says, how does it feel to lose in that way? Like, are you embarrassed by this loss? The answers were not that great. Let me go ahead and play it for you guys.
40 years since the team has won a game running that few times in a game, passing that few times. Is that embarrassing?
I mean, what kind of
Boy,
question?
what are we doing, bro?
What kind of question is that?
Oof.
Nathan's going to be criticizing you, calling you.
All right.
I think we
keep
gave
that.
up
Keep. All right.
7 points.
Yeah.
14
14 to
14.
14 to 10. Is that the final score?
We made stops when we had to. They had one big run. I mean, they got good backs.
Yeah. All right.
They kept coming back to a couple runs. I mean, I don't know how you want us to answer that question.
That's funny. Well, we'll remember that. I'll remember that. Honestly,
Oh, there's more. There's more.
I appreciate you guys. Don't do that. Don't do that.
My day.
All right. Yep. Well, there you have it. Those were some raw emotions coming from Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde. Yeah, that the media gets crazy, dude. It's annoying. I talk about how I've been to Super Bowl media day every year for the Super Bowl, and last year it was over Zoom because of COVID-19. But in that instance, even though it was over Zoom and you're waiting for your turn, and even in person, people are like fighting. They don't care about other people in the media. They'll like cut in front of you, and they'll steal an answer away from you. Like if you're in line to talk to a player, they don't care. They'll push you out of the way. Be like, excuse me. Hey, Rob Kukowski, how do you feel about? And it's sad. And they ask him like the stupidest questions. I try not to do that. Now, there was one moment that I felt kind of like, oh my gosh, man, Hassan, like do better. It wasn't a bad question at all. But since then, I've kind of improved. I was talking to Deebo Samuel. I'm standing here. He's standing right here, right? The camera's over here. I'm talking to him, and I was just like, dude, man, your watch looks amazing. Like, because he had a really, I don't know if you've seen Deebo Samuel in press conference or anything. Like, he's got all the bling on, right? And so I'm asking him the question, like, dude, where'd you get your watch from? Like, it looks amazing and it looks incredible. I'd love to talk about it. And then Deebo looks straight at me in the eyes. And I kind of cringe after this. I was like, Hassan, you idiot. He said, no, we don't. We don't have to talk about it. And then his manager there was like, maybe it was his buddy. I don't know. They were nice about it. They weren't like mean or anything. He was just like, yeah, let's just stick to football questions here. And I was like, oh yeah, no problem. I got you. And so then I just went on to ask him questions about football. But I tried to just have a little bit of fun and ask him about his watch. But yeah, they weren't upset, but like internally, when you're like, think of an embarrassing moment back in the day, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can never see this person again. Oh my gosh, I got to burn their whole house down. Oh my gosh, no. It's like something happens where you're just like, man, I can't think of this ever again. Yeah, that's my moment. Asking Deebo Samuel about his watch. He never thought about it. He never thought anything about it. Again, like I said, he was nice about it. He wasn't a douche or anything. But like for me personally, I was like, man, I told myself I wasn't gonna be one of those guys, and I was one of those guys that asked the dumb question. Anyways, that's my rant. That is my rant. Deebo Samuel, very cool guy though. For the rest of the interview, he was awesome. All right, now we've got power rankings that I want to talk to you guys about ahead of Week 14 of the 2021 NFL season. We're going to start from 25 through 32, read off those first 8, stop, talk about it. Then we're going to go to 17 through 24, and then so on and so forth until we get to the Elite 8. So first, let me start off with 25 through 32. How have the power rankings changed? Well, if we look at the rankings right now, 25 Falcons, 26 Panthers, 27 Giants, 28 Bears, 29 Jets, 30 Lions, 31 Texans, 32 Jaguars. Okay, so how's this shifted? Well, the Lions picked up their first victory. They moved up a couple of spots. And I debated between the Jaguars and the Texans, who had good victories in themselves. Like the Jaguars beat the Bills. The Texans beat the Titans. But I had to move the Lions up because in every game this year, with the exception of maybe like 2 or 3, they have been competitive. They have not been blown out. Like against the Pittsburgh Steelers, against the Minnesota Vikings, the first time, against the 49ers as well, they almost came back in week 1. Like there's so many games that the Lions have been in it. Unfortunately, the record doesn't prove how good of a team they are. Now, they're not like one of the best teams in the NFL, obviously not, but maybe it's like 1-10-1. Are the Lions really worthy of being like a 4-win team? So that's kind of what I took into consideration. Other than that, I mean, everything else is just pretty self-explanatory on where they land in the power rankings. Now, 17 through 24, who ranks in these slots right over here? 17, we've got the Browns. 18, Saints. 19, Seahawks. 20, Raiders. 21, Eagles. 22, Vikings. 23, Dolphins. And 24, Broncos. Okay, so the biggest shifts right here, the biggest team that has dropped in the power rankings, I'll go ahead and tell you, it's the New Orleans Saints because, and this is a culmination of everything. This is a culmination of the losing streak that they've been having. I mean, ever since Jameis Winston got injured, it just hasn't been looking good. Trevor Siemian came in, looked great against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But then since the bye week, since everything, like it's just been, it's been kind of rough for the Saints. While the Seahawks, they're slowly moving up after their victory against the 49ers, as well as the Dolphins, slowly moving up as well. So that is your 17 through 24 slot. Now, 9 through 16, this is 17 through 24 could be viable playoff contenders, but these are actually like, these could be sleepers to go on to maybe the divisional round of the playoffs, championship game, maybe even the Super Bowl, like dark horse teams that we may not be thinking about. So let me go ahead and show you 9 through 16. Right now we've got the Chiefs at 9, Cowboys 10, Chargers 11, Bengals 12, Colts 13, 49ers 14, Steelers 15, and Washington is at 16. Washington continues to move up after their 4-game win streak. Defense is looking better. Run game is looking better. The Colts continue to move up as well. The Chargers, they took over the Bengals. They beat them. So, I mean, organically, you'd have to move them up. And then the Cowboys and Chiefs, each picking up their own victory. They don't really move up just because of the Elite 8. It's kind of tough competition up there as well. So let me go ahead and show you the top 8 teams. And this includes the biggest move up out of any other team in our power rankings this week. We're going to get to them. Let's first start with number 8, read up to number 1. First off, number 8, the Bills. 7, Ravens. 6, Rams. 5, Titans. 4, Patriots. 3, Buccaneers. 2, Packers. And 1, Cardinals. Okay, so the Bills have not been looking great. I mean, like in the last few handful of games, they've lost some games that they should have won, right? Well, they still beat the Chiefs, so I wanted to rank them higher than the Chiefs because of that. And the Ravens drop a couple spots after that, losing Marlon Humphrey. The secondary still isn't looking good against a passing team or a pass offense that just hasn't been great in the Pittsburgh Steelers. You give up that many yards and that many touchdowns. Like, I got to drop the Ravens now. But the Patriots, like that's the storyline right here. The Patriots move on up. 4 spots. And maybe this should have happened a couple of weeks ago when they really got the gears turning. The defense really came onto the scene 2-3 weeks ago. But I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and say that, yeah, they are a top 4 team. They're looking good. They're the top seed in the AFC, so I have to naturally put them as a top AFC team. But that is your power rankings, our power rankings for the Week 14 of the 2021 NFL season. So if you guys have any disagreements, you think that someone should be ranked higher, someone should be ranked lower, go ahead and leave your comments and your thoughts down below in the chat, and I'd love to get to you guys as you guys are tuning in. Speaking of the chat, let me go ahead and take a little bit of a break to acknowledge you guys. I mean, Dan is saying good morning from Montreal. Good morning. Thank you for tuning in. Miguel saying good morning as well with a little sun, Teletubby sun emoji. I love it. Chavez girls. Good morning, T2F. Let's go. Chavez fam. Hey, you got the whole family watching? 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You got everybody. Hey, guys, come on. Come on. It's that guy. It's that guy on TV. Let's watch him. Wow. Such an embarrassing interview with Deebo Samuel. Am I right, honey? I love that the whole family watches in. Love that. Good morning, my people. New life. You're also asking if Elijah Mitchell will play this week. Again, I'll get to more fantasy questions later on, or any questions in general. More than likely, I'm going to say no, though. I'm going to go ahead and acknowledge your question. Concussion should not have returned in that game against the Seahawks. Why? Why did they do it? Why did they do it? Maybe they thought, like, hey, he was healthy and he was good to go. But, I mean, if he was, then you'd probably want to work in Jermichael Hasty a little bit more. Maybe even Jeff Wilson, who had a little bit of a flare-up in his knee. But still, like, work on them instead of Elijah Mitchell. Just give him limited snaps. And, I mean, just the fact that, like, he had a quote-unquote setback, like, still having symptoms of a concussion on Monday, entering concussion protocol, not looking good, man. Not looking good for the 49ers. So, yeah. Sandra saying good morning. Good morning to you as well. Good morning. You the best, bro. Corey, you got me another win last week. No, dude, you got yourself that win. I'm just here. I'm not better than anyone. I don't know more than anyone. I'm just a guy with a microphone, and I just talk, and I just give my opinions. That's it. So congratulations on you winning your fantasy football week. I'm going to get to more questions here in just a bit, but I wanted to dedicate a few minutes, if you saw the topic bar on the bottom, talking about the future of Time2Football. So this channel, 21,000 subscribers. Appreciative of you guys of really helping me reach that goal of over 20K. Very, very appreciative. Now, disclaimer, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. Okay, so if you're like, future Time2Football, what's he talking about? Like, no, this channel is not getting deleted or anything like that. No, this is my full-time job, so I'm going to continue doing this. But let me start off by saying where this direction is going to go by setting up a backstory. So if you guys don't know, I've talked about this channel a couple times before, but kind of the story of how this channel started was I was 19 years old. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I talked with my buddy Rob, who's actually still a very good friend of mine. We still talk. He helps me with Time2Football as well. He's going to be helping me more with behind-the-scenes stuff. And he kind of helped me encourage myself, like, hey, think about like what you want to do in your life. Like, what do you actually love to do? I love being funny. I love entertaining people, and I love talking about football. So I'm going to combine all that together, and I just got a sportscaster. So long story, I'm not going to go into details on anything, but like I went to college for it because you had to go to college. You had to get a degree to get a job, try to apply for jobs. No one would give me a chance for years. And then eventually, like this channel that I started at 19 years old, just kept, I mean, it was just a side thing, but I eventually was like, all right, let me just go ahead and do this full time. And now I make a good enough income from it so that I can dedicate all my time to this. So here I am standing at, or sitting in front of this camera, 28 years old and talking about football as a career, which is awesome. I love it. 100% love it. And I love that you guys are tuning in to the live stream as well. Very, very, very grateful for you guys. Because you guys that tune into the live stream especially are loyal listeners. Like, you guys really care about the content that I come out with. Okay, so the future of Time2Football. What this means, though, is back in 2018, I created a 3-year plan, right? When nobody was giving me a shot at giving me a job, I was like, all right, well, maybe Time2Football is the direction that I should go in. So if you go back on the videos that came out in 2018, like, it was a hodgepodge of just randomness. Like I was just experimenting. I was just like, what is going to take off? What is going to get me the most amount of views? And then I saw that, oh, fantasy football is getting me some more views. Like if I come out with more of these starts and sits videos every single week, like it's going to bring in a big audience. And so then I did that. Like my 3-year plan was 2018, find out what I wanted to do. 2019, whatever that was getting me a lot of views, go all in on it. And 2019 was the most successful season with fantasy football. And then in 2020, I was like, okay, now that people discovered fantasy football, check out this other stuff that I'm doing over here, like this podcast that I'm doing, talking about just NFL debates, like the, different players, different teams, playoff pictures, whatever, like the NFL in general, right? And so that's what I wanted to do in 2020, but still, like people weren't really watching my other stuff. They're just watching fantasy football. And it got to the point where now in 2021, still doing fantasy football, still talking about other stuff like this on the podcast, to the point where people are just tuning in. It's hurting my watch time. They're not watching the video. If it's like about the Carolina Panthers, for instance, yesterday, come out with a video, people don't watch it. All they comment is fantasy football questions that are irrelevant to the video. And also, they're commenting, these questions on videos that have nothing to do with fantasy football. And I've gotten some comments before that are treating me like I work in customer service. That's like, you have to answer my fantasy questions if I don't answer the questions. And like, I've never wanted to be a fantasy football analyst. I've never wanted this channel to be a fantasy football channel. I've just wanted to talk about football in general and just have fun doing it. But I got caught up in the YouTube world of like, okay, I got to make an income. I got to make some money. I got to pay rent. I got to provide for my wife. Like, what do I do? And fantasy football was the way to go to make a lot of money. Now, I'm not going to stop fantasy football. I'm not doing that. Like, I'm going to continue to talk about it. However, moving forward, what this means is because like, you have those comments that kind of like drain you, get like those messages at 2 a.m. sending you 4 screenshots of like their waiver wires, like, hey, who do I start? Who do I sit? Who should I pick up? Pick 2, Rashad Bateman, Michael Gallup. Dude, this video is about the Minnesota Vikings. What are you doing? Anyways, so because I would get that, and if you tune in, you kind of saw my frustration on air when like people would say like start 2, pick 2. That's your demand. You are a robot. You do what I say. Start to Amari Cooper. CD the system overload. I would get frustrated at that. And that was the most angry that I will ever be. Like, I didn't yell or anything. I was just like, man, forget you guys. Because I'm a happy, optimistic person. So, anyways, with all of that said, because I'm taking up too much time and I'm going to get to your fancy questions. Moving forward, what that means for me is fantasy football. I'm going to finish it out this season. I'm going to do the starts and sits. I'm going to do the ads and drops. I spend Monday, Tuesday, all day, like 6:30 a.m. to like last night, 11:30 p.m., just making graphics and coming out with these videos. So it's an all-day thing, and it's just draining because I'm like, oh my gosh, like this isn't my passion. But I'm going to finish it out for this season, and then moving forward, I'm still going to be talking about fantasy football, but I just want to let you guys know, for you guys that are joining into this live stream, this is not a fantasy football channel. It's not, man. I hate to burst your bubble. Now, if you join in the live stream, I'm going to dedicate 5-10 minutes every single day to answer your fantasy football questions, but that's about it. And then come out with the starts and sits videos after that as well. So, moving forward, I've come out with a game plan. I've talked to a couple of my buddies, and we've got other visions in mind that we're going to be pursuing. For instance, we're going to be trying to interview players and create documentaries and create features on them. So it's a long road. It's a long road because you have to get approval from a lot of NFL teams. I called every single team in the NFL to try to see what are the chances of getting an interview with this player or that player, whatever. And they're all saying the same thing. Like, no, I mean, unless you're like NBC, CBS, ESPN, we're not going to dedicate the time. So it's a work in progress. But I'm telling you all this, guys, all this stuff right now, because I want you guys to join me on this journey. I want you guys to see, okay, December 8th, 2021, that's when he announced, like, yes, I'm going to try to go in that direction. Keep on doing this podcast, keep on answering fantasy football questions, but be that like my main thing. And then you can kind of see the growth and where the channel goes from then on. So probably during that whole 7 minutes that I talked right there, you probably don't care and you're just asking your fantasy football questions during it. That's the irony of it. Anyways, but yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about as far as the future of Time to Football is. Listen, this fantasy football was never my passion. I love it. I love talking about it. I love coming out with the spreadsheets. That's probably my favorite thing. Like preseason, determining who's going to be good and who's not going to be good. That's great. During the season, like the starts and sits and getting like bombarded with the questions. I mean, on the live chat, it's fine because I expect it. Like I'm going to be answering the questions, but like DMing me 3 a.m., like that's not like, dude, come on, you know, and then treat me like it's a customer service job. Like, yeah, no. But yeah, that's the future of Time to Football. All right. Wow. I just feel a bond right now. Don't you feel that bond? Like we just emotionally connected. I love it. Your questions, man. Your questions. What do you guys got? Am I crazy? Chavez girl saying, thinking of starting Taysom over Dak this week in a must-win game. Thoughts? You are not crazy. You are not crazy at all. I saw something that said that because I was trying to create my starts and sits, right? And I was doing research on like, okay, like what are the stats and everything, and I saw someone's analysis of like Taysom Hill, and it's like, oh, maybe you should sit him because the Jets secondary is actually kind of good, and I was like, huh? It didn't make sense to me. So Taysom Hill, yes, you absolutely need to start him. Adam Thielen is out. I just take waivers. Osborne, KJ Osborne. Do you think it's a good idea or better take Reynolds from Detroit? It's a 14 league. Okay, so Reynolds has been looking good with Jared Goff. Now, the matchup would tell you, okay, Pittsburgh secondary has given up some big plays, so maybe KJ Osborne could be the guy. But maybe Denver secondary could give up some big plays as well. I'm going to lean in towards KJ Osborne. And I mean, it's a 14-man league, so it's like in a 10-man league, I would not play KJ Osborne, but in 14, like if he's your best available, yes, like KJ Osborne is perfectly fine. Like I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Dana is, I don't think the Lions can win any more games because of their schedule yet. So the question of the day, do the Lions win any more games? Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's tough. I mean, Denver, they're expected to lose. I mean, they're going to be underdogs in a lot of these games. Maybe they can beat the Falcons, the Broncos potentially as well this week. But the Packers and the Cardinals, yeah, it's not looking good. Should I start Van Jefferson or KJ Osborne as my next wide receiver, full PPR? Deontay Johnson is my next locked-in wide receiver. I'm gonna go Van. I'm gonna go Van Jefferson. He's the two-way to Cooper Kupp. Two-way wide receiver. 2B is Odell. Yeah, I'd go Van Jefferson. Good morning from South Carolina. My other league and playoffs have Arizona and Tampa Bay at defense. Should I drop Arizona or for Seattle defense? We'll play Tampa in the playoffs. I don't know the schedule for Arizona the remainder of the season. Like, if you need to drop someone for a playoff defense, Seattle would be a good playoff defense. However, Week 15, they do face the Rams, so make sure you have a good backup plan for that. But, let me go ahead and pull up this graphic so you guys can know if you guys are just tuning in right now. No, that's the question of the day. That is the question of the day. There we go. Viewer questions. So you guys can know that you're asking questions right now. Do you think it's safe to? We'll play Tampa in the playoffs. Okay. So for this week they face the Rams. Seattle, yes. Seattle against Houston. Yeah, that would be the wise move. Good morning. Do you think it's safe to play Dontrell Hilliard and Deontay Foreman? I lean in more towards Deontay Foreman because this could be out of hand early and they could just continue to run with the ball. Whereas Dontrell Hilliard, more of a pass catching back, and that's where his value comes from. Lewis, love your show, bro. Lewis, thank you for tuning in. Very appreciative that you've commented a few times as well. I'm appreciative that you guys or loyal viewers of the stream. Kicks Plug as well is a loyal viewer. What's up, bro? Full PPR, Sit One, Mike Evans, Hollywood Brown, Van Jefferson, Julio Jones. It would be, I guess, Hollywood for me. It would be Hollywood. Your thoughts on playing Hilliard over Robinson in full PPR? I mean, it's not looking good for Robinson. He was benched. And the Titans' defense is not that, or is pretty stingy against the run. Now, Robinson didn't break out a long run against the Tennessee Titans early on in the season, but that's most of his value. That's where most of his value came from, was from like 40 or 50-yard run. Now, it's going to be hard to trust Robinson for sure, but I think in a game where this game might be out of hand early, Hilliard is the passing back. He's going to work in, like, guaranteed, even if the game isn't out of hand, he's going to get the same amount of snaps as Deontay Foreman, whereas James Robinson is going to be a three-down back. So, fumbling issues, yes, it sucks, but I think this is the week that, okay, James Robinson had a little bit of a wake-up call, pick me up. I think you can trust James Robinson going forward. Bills defense or Atlanta Falcons defense? Okay, so Atlanta against Carolina, but the Bills against Tampa Bay. I mean, man, neither. I don't like either one, but if I had to choose, it'd be Atlanta. I'm not big on either one, though. Jeremy, what are some of the better defenses to stream this week? So you got the Chargers, the Seahawks, the Packers as well are a good one. I would say those are probably the top three. I would say that come off the top of my head, unless I'm forgetting something. Let me go ahead and look over this real quick. Defense and special teams. I don't know if the Saints are available. I don't know if the Titans are available. Maybe even the Broncos. But those might be some defenses you may want to look at. Antonio Gibson or David Montgomery? I have both, so I'm starting both. But which one out of the two? I mean, it'd be Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson has been the guy. And I think J.D. McKissic is expected to miss another week. I know that he didn't practice at all last week, so it's going to be an uphill climb. I think this is going to be a multi-week injury for J.D. McKissic. So Antonio Gibson being utilized more in the passing game. 7 targets in the game previously, 6 targets in last week's game. So, yeah, it should be Antonio Gibson. T.J. Hawkinson or Pat Freiermuth, you got to go with Hawk. You got to go with Hawk. Like the most talented pass catcher in that Lions offense, got to go with him. Are the Bills and Packers defense a good combo rest of the season? I don't know the schedule, to be honest with you, for the Bills, but for the Packers, I mean, it's just this week, and then I don't know if they have a good matchup coming up, but I doubt they do. I think they face the Vikings in another Sunday night game. Maybe they got flexed out, but yeah. Anyways, I do think that the Packers have. I mean, their play themselves it's worthy of starting them, but their matchups, however, are above average to or below average to not good for in the sense of the Packers. So. I don't really like the Packers the rest of the way. Start Joe Everett or Cole Kmet or pick up Ricky Seals-Jones, PPR lost Logan Thomas. Thanks. I'm starting Cole Kmet. I'm starting Cole Kmet. Bateman, Ayuk, or Van Jefferson. Please pick 2, Carl. Van Jefferson and Ayuk would be mine. Edward, good morning. Full PPR. I got Mitchell, Patterson, Zeke, and Montgomery. Who woke you bench? Who would you bench? Okay, I got you. Mitchell, Patterson, Zeke, and Montgomery. They're all good, but it's looking like it might be an easy answer for you because Mitchell is going to be dealing with some concussion symptoms. So, I mean, it'd be easy. I can almost guarantee you, like 75% sure Mitchell is not going to be playing in this game. Actually, as a matter of fact, I picked up JaMycal Hasty. So if JaMycal Hasty is available in your guys' waivers, Edward, you don't have to worry about it just because I would play those 3 guys over JaMycal Hasty. But for you guys that need a flex play, a running back, whatever it may be, Miles Sanders is on a bye, Myles Gaskin is on a bye, like, you know what I'm saying? Jonathan Taylor, and you need a running back, JaMycal Hasty, like with Jeff Wilson there, having a flare up in his knee, no guarantee if he's going to play. And Elijah Mitchell dealing with concussion symptoms. You might want to think about JaMycal Hasty. What else do we got? Carl. Such great content. Thank you, Carl. And for tight end, Ertz, Freiermuth, Waller, or Moreau if Waller doesn't play. Okay, I got you. I think Ertz is a sit for me. I'd go Moreau. I like Moreau a lot. Um, and you're here for the whole podcast when I can. Carl, thank you so much. I appreciate that. If Keenan sits, who's the pickup? Rolando, Guyton, or Palmer? Or is it a waste of time since Mike Williams might just take over? Yeah, I wouldn't pick up Guyton or Palmer. I really wouldn't. I mean, do you have another option? I mean, I would take someone like Russell Gage, KJ Osborne, whoever in that role in place of Keenan Allen instead of relying on actual Keenan Allen's backup. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't do that. Appreciate your time and videos. Eric says that Seahawks or Broncos this week. You know, I'm gonna go with the Denver Broncos. Jamal Adams missing, and that's gonna be a blow for the Seahawks secondary. And also Davis Mills is gonna be starting, so maybe he's got something left to prove. I mean, he's looked good against some pretty good defenses this year, and he's looked bad as well. But like against the Carolina Panthers on Thursday Night Football, he didn't look bad. So I'm just saying. So the Broncos are a much safer choice for me. Rest of the season. For playoffs, week 16, week 17, how do you feel about Rex Burkhead or Dontrell Hilliard? Are they worth keeping? Dontrell Hilliard, yeah. I don't know for sure if they're going to be like starting. I don't know who the Titans play in 16 and 17 just yet, but yeah, rest of the way, Hilliard would be my option that I would choose. YME, I've seen some of the documentary style videos before, and they're pretty great content. I got a decent amount of views. You got this, man. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I'll make those documentary style videos for some players. But like I'll make I'm trying to actually go in person and interview players and get access to them, which is kind of hard to do. I almost had that opportunity with Arch Manning, the nephew for Peyton Manning and Eli Manning, and then if you know about the whole story where they pulled out of the interview last minute, and I flew to New Orleans for no reason. Gosh, man, that was disappointing. Oh my gosh, that was probably the biggest blow ever. Because I was in the midst of like, oh my gosh, this is a thing that could like really put me on the map. Because fantasy football, it's great, it's fun, I love it, but it's kind of putting me in a bubble, you know, where it's like I'm just known as a fantasy guy. Like, whereas my career, I want to be more like to grow infinitely more. Like, if you have access to players and interview players, you can bring more players onto the podcast and things of that nature. But yeah, that was kind of a blow. And I almost had a few others, which I'm still working on right now. But hey, YME, thank you so much. I'm glad to see Detroit won a game, and I never wanted to see a team go 0-16 or 17 again. Jack, you were very optimistic. I appreciate that. I love the positivity. Yeah, I do think Detroit. You know, I want one team to pick up a win just because it gets so freaking hype when they pick up that one victory. I don't know if you guys remember back in 2008, was it? Or 2000? No, it was 2008 where the Lions went. No, 2007. That's what it was. The Dolphins were like 0-12, and then they beat the Baltimore Ravens in like overtime or something like that. It was so hype when they won. Like, I love that. I love when they pick up their first victory. I'm sure you're going to rock and going to be happy with the content in football. Thanks for all the work all your hard work. Dan is. Thank you. Hey, by the way, that wasn't like me saying I'm done with fantasy football. I'm just saying, like, I'm going to finish out the season, and then going on to next season, I may like switch things up just a bit to make it not so demanding on myself, and bring more like joy and stuff like that into the content I create. But yeah, I'll still be talking about fantasy football. So don't worry, guys. Don't worry. I'm not going to leave you guys completely high and dry. Lax Kid. Hey, Hassan. Thanks for the fantasy advice this year. Went from 1-4 to 9-4. What the heck? We got the freaking Miami Dolphins here. Lax Kid, how'd you do it? Hey, congrats to you, man. Congrats. I on the other hand, I'm in the opposite direction. I started 5-0, and I'm currently 9-4. So I went 4-4 after starting 5-0. Hey, listen. Antonio Gibson shin injury, David Montgomery was out, Deebo Samuel's been out, Jalen Hurts hurt, CeeDee Lamb concussion. Like, it's been rough. But dude, congrats to you for that turnaround, and respect your new ideas for this channel. Best of luck. Thank you, dude. I love the support. I love it. Bill, hey Hassan, 8-team standard Yahoo League. I have Buffalo defense. Who do you like better? Week 16 Chargers at Houston. Okay. Appreciate you giving the matchups, by the way, because I would have not known off the top of my head who they face. Chargers at Houston. Arizona home versus Indy, or Kansas City home versus Steelers, or Green Bay home versus Cleveland. Okay, week 16. Week 16. That's what we're looking at. Chargers would be my number one, and low key, very low key, like to the point where you got to be like, shh, don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone so they don't pick them up. The Chiefs against the Steelers. Because defensively, the last 5 games, yeah, the Chiefs have been looking great. ASMR. But yeah, Chargers first, then Chiefs would be second if the Chargers are taken. Hill or Burrow, please? I'd go Taysom Hill, dude. I'd go Taysom Hill. Can't go wrong with him. Who do you start this week if you have Elliott and Pollard? Elliott looks horrible. Yeah, dude. I'm still riding with Elliott, bro. Maybe next year I could be more like, oh, I'm going Tony Pollard over Ezekiel Elliott. But this year they're committed to Ezekiel Elliott. Yeah, you got to go Zeke. You got to go Zeke. Unless you hear something in the offseason or more news coming out to say, hey, it's going to be more 50-50. No, it's Zeke. Got to go Zeke. Which QB do you think is better to start, Josh Allen or Russell Wilson this week? Okay, so Josh Allen's got a tough one against Tampa Bay, but then Russell Wilson, okay, Seattle Seahawks. This game may be out of hand early for the Seattle Seahawks, but I'm still going to take Russ over Josh Allen. Russ against Houston, I'm going to go with him. Thank you again for answering my questions. You should start a Patreon. I would follow T2F Future and help out when I can. Carl, thank you so much. I do have a Patreon now. During the season, I haven't done anything. The Patreon is solely for the draft rankings that I come out with preseason, which you guys have like jumped up on that. Like that's awesome. And if you guys jumped up on that, you saw like, yeah, there were like a couple that I got wrong. Like I called Gerald Everett to be a top 10 tight end. Antonio Gibson was going to be a top 5 running back. Which, I mean, it's trending in that direction if he didn't get hurt. But if you guys did pick up those rankings, you're welcome. If you guys drafted Jamar Chase, you're welcome. DeAndre Swift, you're welcome. Najee Harris, I got you, fam. I got you. 14-man league. Not much left if Keenan Allen sits unless I start Allen Robinson or Curtis Samuel or Bateman. Okay. I thought the question would go away. Okay, you're still dealing with a dilemma. Allen Robinson, Curtis Samuel, or Bateman. Allen Robinson. Dude, I'm not confident in it. I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry you have to be in that position. Allen Robinson. Oh my gosh, I hate that choice, but I'm doing that. Appreciate all the work, my man. Always coming through. Rolando, thank you. Jonathan Taylor, Saquon, Fournette, CeeDee Lamb, Chase, Renfro has served me well. Okay, dude, yeah. I mean, Jonathan Taylor and especially Fournette. There's a guy in my league that has Jonathan Taylor and Fournette as well, and his running backs are amazing. Like he'll put up. I think when Fournette went off for 40 points just from his running backs alone, he got like 60, 70 points. But he finished the week with like 90 points or something like that. Just because like the rest of his team, he's a very nice guy, and I love this guy so much. Like he's amazing. Like and he always tries to help people out. But I do think like some people in the league kind of take advantage of him because he's like so nice, and he's like, hey man, would you do this trade? And it's not like a lopsided trade, but it's kind of like, dude, why'd you do that trade? Like, were you just trying to be nice? He's like, yeah, I don't care. I'll just be nice. And it's like, oh, fine, but you just made his team even better. Like, yeah. But I love that combo, Jonathan Taylor, Leonard Fournette. I want to do prize picks, but I'm from Texas, so we can't gamble. LOL. Oh yeah, dude, we need to change that around. Why has it gotten to that point where it's just I don't know. It needs to become a thing in all 50 states. What's up, Brody? This will be the last one. Got a question on Hasty. Should I stash him? Earthly Links. Yes, I stashed him, and I'm excited if he does play this weekend. I'm gonna flex either Deebo Samuel or Jermichael Hasty, depending on who plays. Like if Elijah Mitchell is out and Deebo Samuel is out, Jeff Wilson is out, I'm playing Hasty. Now, if Elijah Mitchell's in and Jeff Wilson is in and Deebo Samuel is going to be playing, then I'm going to be playing Deebo Samuel. So, yeah. But that's what I would do. Anyways, that's going to be it for this week's episode of Time2Football, Wednesday, December 8th, 2021. Thank you guys for joining in. Mr. Man, last question. Play Kansas City defense at Las Vegas. Not my first choice, but if you have no other option, yes, do it. Hey, thank you guys for listening to my rant, and I'm excited about the future of Time2Football. Thank you guys for being loyal listeners and joining in with this live stream. With all that said, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and remember,